Strong, strong families, yeah. Good friends. Strong families.
Hello and welcome to Good Friends, Strong Families, the podcast where every episode equips you with a new skill, surrounds you with support, and provides actionable steps you can immediately implement in your family life. I'm Angela, and I'm joined by my co-host, Anna. In today's episode, we'll talk about the different stresses in life, how to manage what you can manage, and reduce what you can reduce. So let's dissect the what, the why, the how, so that at the end of today's episode, you'll be better equipped to raise resilient, connected families. Welcome, Anna.
Welcome. Yeah, I think everybody would agree that today we are all living in a pretty fast-paced world. Schedules can be pretty demanding. Distractions are abundant.
Yes.
So sometimes it just feels like stress is at every corner, right?
Yeah.
So it's easy to lose sight of the moments that really matter, and we can kind of just get lost in the hustle and bustle.
Yeah, everyday life.
So there's a lot that we can't control.
Yep.
But if we control what we can reduce stress. And so we want to talk about ways that you can reduce the overall stress in your life and then manage what you can't get rid of, right? There's things that we're going to have to figure out how to deal with.
Yeah, and we talk about stress. I know a lot of times people will talk about stress negatively, like, oh my gosh, I'm under so much stress. But we know that there are a lot of situations where stress is good. And there are different terms that we use in behavioral health around what is good stress versus what is negative or bad stress. But it doesn't matter what kind of stress it is. There are things that we can do that will help us with our stress. And then there are other things that we can do to get rid of some of the things that are causing us some stress to begin with.
Yeah. So I think we should talk about what stress does to our bodies.
This is important.
Yeah. So when our brain perceives stress or a threatening situation, it actually triggers chemicals. I feel like we talk about brain chemicals a lot, but it makes it sound smart. So
right.
So it triggers chemicals that shut down some body systems that aren't needed for that instant survival.
Yeah.
Right? So it raises the blood pressure and heart rate, and it's diverting blood from our brain to our larger muscles, right? We know this: fight, flight, or freeze.
Right. Okay, wait, I am definitely fight.
Gosh, I'd like to think I'm fight, but I don't think I am. I think I'm a freezer.
Right. It's probably not good to be fight, but sometimes I definitely am fight.
So that is like our physical response to stress, right? And so I think it's important to note that blood is being diverted from our brain. What do we need our brains for? A lot, right? To make wise decisions, right? And so if we're constantly stressed out, we probably aren't functioning optimally in handling things that normally, if your normal day-to-day things that you don't really think about, you're fine. But then add stress, and maybe now you're not sleeping well.
Right.
Maybe now you're turning to junk food.
Yeah.
And so what can we do? What can we do when we're overly chronically stressed?
That's a good word that you actually use, though, like chronically stressed, because I think there are definitely some things that over the years is that most kids, littles versus teens, a lot of work on my plate versus a lot of parenting duties, that type of thing. There are some things that I always have to do. And so sometimes those things cause some chronic stress, some that long-term stuff that I carry. But then there's also this acute stress where maybe I have a deadline that I have to get to, or maybe someone has an activity that we're all trying to get through. So those are some of the differences. But can you give us a few ideas of things that actually cause stress, maybe things that we didn't even think of?
Yeah. So, one, internally, we can have our own negative thoughts. Yeah, we don't like talking about that. But relational problems, health problems, you don't plan for being sick,
right.
or emergencies, right? Are you feeling unsafe?
Yeah.
Too many activities.
Yes.
Do you need to remove things from your plate? too high expectations, procrastination,
So,
holding resentment and grudges. We have an episode on forgiveness, so we're gonna plug that one in there.
so you think about all the things that cause stress, some of the things that they actually are in our hand. You talk a lot about nutrition. You and I have had this conversation a lot about nutrition, and that's actually one of the things. If I know stress is coming, or not even just bad stress, but if I know that I'm going to be in a stressful situation, so the first thing I do is start thinking about what I'm eating. Not because I'm super fancy, but because I know that my body reacts weird to stress, and so I want to make sure that I'm getting, believe it or not, I actually make sure I'm eating a lot more spinach and, those things that I know will make me feel good. And I don't add anything weird to my diet.
That's good.
I don't want like extra spicy foods. It'll really mess with my stomach. So it's a good time to think about those things.
Yeah, I think if we have some things like routines in place, when unexpected things happen and we can fall back on those routines, I think that helps us manage those unexpected things. But then also those routines are good to handle the everyday busyness of our schedules. If we know that this is a stressful time, we want to make sure we are planning ahead for our dinners that week. We want to make sure that we are sticking to our bedtime.
Yes.
Right. So I think having those can be preventative, but then they're also helping us in the moment.
This is an interesting. I remember hearing this years ago during a unique tragedy at one place in the country. One of the I was watching a show, and one of the families was asking questions of the psychologist on the show, and they asked, we've gone through this particular tragedy, and there's a lot going on in our family. Should we make their bedtime later, or give them extra snack foods or whatever? But I do remember the psychologist said absolutely the opposite. What you want to do when there's a lot of tragedy going on around you or uncertainty is you want to solidify routines, bedtime, food, blah, blah, blah. All the things that are normal. Doesn't mean that you can't be like, give a little flexible. Yeah, but you definitely, it is good to keep those routines.
Well, yeah, that makes sense because you've already been thrown into chaos.
Yes.
And so if you can fall back on those foundational things that your kids can count on when there's certain things that you can't, right? Control what you can because there's other stuff you can't.
Yeah.
And if all your energy is now just moment to moment, versus, hey, we know we start our day with a healthy breakfast. We know that we're going to have a family meal together. It may look different right now. We may have to order out because we don't have time to cook, or we may, whatever. Maybe you're not able to stay at home in that situation or whatever it is. But if you can keep any sense of normalcy, that will absolutely reduce stress. So, make sure that you're eating healthy meals, all the healthy foods is known to reduce stress. Sleeping enough is known to reduce stress. Another one is exercise. So exercise reduces stress by triggering, again, we're talking about triggering chemicals, but they're triggering pleasure chemicals in our brain. So serotonin, dopamine, those are going to help us feel a little bit more calm and happy.
Does feel a little bit like the opposite of what I would normally do under stress. Like,
but
I wouldn't
just be a walk.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's exactly right. Let me start working out now that I'm under stress because I'm already under stress. I have all this extra time.
But remember, our body is pumping extra blood in those larger muscles, right? And so if we don't do anything with that, it's kind of like you can have like that adrenaline crash.
Yes.
And so if you can get some of that energy moved out. Another thing is that, have you ever almost been in an accident?
Yes.
And your blood is pumping and it takes a while to calm down, right?
Okay.
So it's also important to talk about how we can kind of force the hand of our body into a relaxation mode.
Oh, I love that.
So you love to talk about a certain kind of breathing.
Yeah, I call this is really good.
And listen, friends, as you're listening to this part, I really want to think in terms of basics, right? So one of the things that we know works is what I call fat belly breathing. This is really just a method of breathing that will reduce stress and anxiety. So, but there's a real method to this. I call it fat belly breathing because one of the things that we know is that, and maybe it's because we're always trying to suck our belly in, is that we often breathe into our chest, but we don't breathe. Really need to get our breath really far down into your belly in order to get all of the oxygen we need for our blood. So, friends, if you'll try this with us, your belly needs to stick out when you breathe that deeply. So you want to take a deep breath that gets it all the way down into your belly. And then if you will take the deep breath for 4 seconds, hold it for 7 seconds, and then slowly breathe it out for 8 seconds. All right, we're going to do it with you just one time. It's a little weird to do it on a podcast, but let's do it. 4 seconds in. Hold it. Slowly breathe it out. All right, do not fall asleep. I need you for the rest of today. So, friends, that is what we call fat belly breathing. Do that a few times. Even if you just did a minute of that, you would actually feel a tremendous difference in your anxiety.
Absolutely.
Finally, the other thing I do want to talk about this today is when you think about how to relax, because this is really important.
One of the things that you can do is what we call tense and relax.
Mm-hmm.
And this is good because you can actually start really as high up on you can squeeze together your forehead, squeeze together your cheeks, squeeze together the muscles of your neck. And what you're doing is you're tensing all of your muscles. You could even think about it as like a warm waterfall over your head. And so that you're tensing those muscles and then let that warm waterfall go down your body to release those all the tension in your body. You'll find there's so many great things that most students.
I love that one because oftentimes I don't realize that I'm holding tension or stress in certain parts of my body. And it's hard to release something that you can't acknowledge or recognize is there. So if you just start at the top of your body and work your way down, intentionally adding some tension there, and then you can really let go. That's really helpful.
Absolutely.
Some other things that can reduce stress is we already talked about the routines, but maybe you need to change up your routine during this time. Eating healthy, exercise, we've got those. Avoiding extra caffeine that you may be relying on. We talked about these relaxation techniques like deep breathing and the muscle relaxation. Also rehearsing stressful situations ahead of time.
Yes.
If you know that you've got to make a difficult phone call or something like that, plan that out a little bit more. Be assertive. Learn practical coping skills. Break large tasks into smaller ones. Stop negative self-talk.
That's so good.
Stop procrastinating.
I feel like we've said that a lot. Maybe we're procrastinating.
Listen to music. What are hobbies? Can you carve out time for yourself? Things that feed your soul.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Okay. Well, here's the thing, friends. This is a big one. I think this is something that we all deal with. We all walk through. And so we're going to continue to talk about this. Look on our show notes. It's going to give you lots of ideas, and we'll continue this discussion as time goes on. We want to hear about what you have to say about how you reduce stress, how you reduce anxiety. And friends, this is just the discussion about you, but we can use all of these to train our children so that they are also reducing stress. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a 5-star review, share it with a friend. Join our conversation on Instagram. Go to those show notes, find all of the resources that we've given to you. We want you to be a part of this conversation. And don't forget to share with us how you reduce stress and anxiety for yourself and also for your family. Until next time, take care and goodbye.